Yeah.
What is the difference between intellect and your mind?
Very good question. See, the internal equipment that we have, in English we just call it mind because we don't really differentiate. But the mind has got 4 functions. One is the mind, man, what we call in Sanskrit, man. Man is like a clerk. He's just like a clerk. He has no power. It only collects all the impressions from the outside world. Like your nose smells something, it gives the information to the man. The eyes see something, it gives the information. So 5 senses go and give the information to man. But man does not know what to do with it. So it's just a receiving clerk. So it passes the information to buddhi, intellect. Buddhi has to decide what to do with this information. If the buddhi is trained, we call it higher intellect, it's trained to think about what is real and what is unreal. What is towards my highest spiritual goal and what is towards my lower material goal. But most of the times it's not trained to do that. Most of the time it's trained to only find out whether this stimulus which I have received, when I received it last time, how did I feel? And it doesn't have that information with it. It needs to go to its archives. Because everything is archived in our mind. So that archive part of the intellect equipment is called chitta. It's like a storehouse of every single experience I have had since I was an animal. There it goes and it finds out, last time you met Mr. X, he was very rude to you. Shun him. Run away from him. Don't talk to him. That information goes from chitta to intellect. Intellect passes that information back to mind. Mind passes that intellect to your organs of action and you start running away from that person. And all this action needs to be coordinated, right? Otherwise the senses will see something and the mind will not know about it. Senses says, I saw, but what about mind? How will the mind say, but I also received this information? And then even if it says so, then the intellect will say, but I'm not involved in this. Senses are seeing, mind is receiving. So there is an I in the intellect also. And then that chitta will say, but who is taught all this? Who saw it before? So there is an I which connects all these faculties, senses, mind, intellect, chitta, back to intellect, back to mind, organs of action. And that I which joins all this is the 4th part of your mental equipment called ahankar. The I, sense of I. So all these are happening in a split second. You saw, you thought, you took it in, it went here, went to archives, came back, went to organs, action happened. So fast. So this is all happening in this what we call antakaran.
Once the buddhi is trained, does it still go from the buddhi to the chit to check?
Ha. Trained means properly trained or in between training? Huh?
Silent.
Silent. Where silent trained intellect is no longer concerned with the vishayas of the world. It is only seeing one thing. Sat, asat. This is a vishay, it is asat. I have nothing to do with it. Finished. Everything is just
Formatted.
swept out. Trained intellect is not concerned with asat. Asat hai, jane do, not interested. I have to deal with it, okay, I'll deal with it, whatever has to be done, because I'm still living in the sansar, I still have a body, I still have a mind, but I'm not interested in it at all. That is vairagya. Not interested in anything that is not taking me to my spiritual goal. I don't want to spend any extra time on that. That's when your nishchay is pakka, when your goal is what?
Fixed. Fixed.
Fixed.
So then the need to check with the chitta only does it arise.
Exactly, because it already spontaneously, the intellect has been so trained that it just sees Sat, Asat, that's it, not concerned with anything else. That is what we call higher intellect. A trained intellect is called higher intellect. So in this verse, he says, when your intellect confused by hearing conflicting statements. So in the beginning of one's spiritual journey, one has done a lot of exploration. So one has gone from institution to institution, tradition to tradition, guru to guru, sadhana to sadhana. Many things we have heard, and some of them may seem conflicting. Because someone is saying, no, karma yoga is the only way. Someone is saying bhakti yoga is the only way. Someone is saying jnana yoga is the only way. Someone is saying ashtanga yoga is only the way. Everyone is saying this is the only way, and now you're confused. So when with all this confusion you try this, then it doesn't work. Then you go to the next. This guru gives too much sadhana. Next one. Like this, you go on exploring, so you get more and more and more confused. After that, when you have finished getting confused with all the different paths, your intellect remains steadfast. Sthasyati nischala. Then what happens? Intellect becomes quiet through right understanding. Mind becomes quiet through vairagya. Senses become quiet through karma yoga. Nothing in the world or outer world can prevent you from getting a paroksha anubhuti. But all three have to become quiet. Intellect, man, indriya. Then you will be in samadho, samadhi, in divine consciousness. Then aparoksh anubhuti means directly you are experiencing the divine. Directly. Not through the book, not through the pravachan, not through somebody's hearsay, not through anyone else's experience, but your own experience. And it is only experience. Anubhuti means you have to experience it. Aparoksh. Paroksh means what is far away. Aparoksh, direct. What is near? Near what? One's self. Anubhuti, experience. An experience that is from within. It arises within you. You realize yourself. That is the meaning of self-realization. Not through any medium of books, movies, Google G, internet, nothing. No external information. Directly you experience yourself. Tada, at that time, yogamavapsyasi, at that time you will attain yoga, the ultimate result of following karma yoga. Clear? Now, many times I have told you all these things, I am not going to repeat.
No, just one thing.
Yeah.
All these steps that we went through again for Karma Yoga, most of these things can be going on side by side. It's not like one has to be.
You see, what happens is, one day we feel samatva. So then we think, now I have attained samatva. But it's not just one day. You have to be established in samatva. You have to be established in samarpan. You have to be established in swadharma. And this takes time. It might be that they happen together also, but you have to be established in them.
It's not like you wait, samatva hoega, chose for that.
अरे पता नहीं कब होगा वो, we don't know. हाँ?
that.
You can do simultaneously, it can happen, but you have to be more aware. You have to be aware of Samatva also, you have to be aware of Samarpan also, you have to be aware of Swadharma also. It's a life dedicated to spiritual growth. It's a life dedicated. It is not a weekend activity. It is not a vacation project. It is not something you do when you do not have any other social engagements. It's a life project. Okay. All right. So, as you know, this entire Bhagavad Gita is situated in which? Kurukshetra war. That is the geographical and historical background for this book. So you can say, but that was good, yaar, because it was Kurukshetra war and Arjun was there and Bhagwan happened to be there and all good for Arjun. But what about us? We are in Kali Yuga and in the city of Bombay, and I don't know whether all these things can be valid for us. No. Whatever situation we are in, wherever we are, in whatever life situation, it is our Kurukshetra. It is our Kurukshetra. And all this knowledge has to be used in our own life's Kurukshetra war. And our Kurukshetra war is no less than the Kurukshetra war of Mahabharata. Sometimes when you all come with your crying faces and long faces and dying faces, I feel your wars are worse than this, Pandava and Kaurava. So you need to understand this is my Kurukshetra and I need to apply all this knowledge in my own life. This is what you have to take home from this. Do your duty, do your responsibilities, but do it with SSSAP. Then what will happen? All these steps will happen. A Paroksh Anubhuti is yours. No one can take it from you. So, Samatva Bhav we have already done. Swadharma also we have given thought to. For the next fortnight, for 1 week or whatever till we meet, try Samarpan Bhav. It's not very difficult to do. You have to just remember that before you start any action, even mechanically say, I dedicate this action to the Supreme. Mechanically also say. Brahm Arpanam is enough to say. Brahm Arpanam. And logically also, if you have dedicated it to Bhagwan, you've done Arpanam to Bhagwan for every action, then if it is successful, then who does it belong to? Bhagwan. Okay? Give the credit for it also to Bhagwan. That's all you have to do. That's all. But remember, for each and every action, you're drinking water, Brahm Arpanam, not just food. Even when you go to Udupi and order your masala dosa, Brahm Arpanam in the Udupi restaurant. Okay? Right? Easy. Any questions?